free to ask me or anyone in the committee. And then the second one, after we go through the info session, we're going to have the professional panel. And this will be led by Vanessa, and then we'll have Crizia here and also Ethan, who are also our CCAP mentors for this year. And after that, you will also have a chance to ask questions in an interactive Q&A with audience. So feel free to basically chat in the chat box here on Zoom, or later, you can ask your questions directly to Ethan or Crizia. So feel free to do that as well. And then finally, we're going to give you, the registration link, more info about the program, and hopefully you can join us and participate as well. Cool. So we'll start with the mentorship program itself. So for the past couple of years, we've had the program at AUSCI, and this year we're trying to do something different by bringing you basically more mentors and also more industries covered. So AUSCI itself is actually the Alumni Association of USC in Indonesia, as most of you probably know. And we have an annual mentorship program, and this year we're calling it the Career Advantage Mentor Program, or we also call it AUSCI CAP. And basically what we do is we connect USC graduates to entrepreneurs and also professionals in the Indonesian Trojan Network. So we, after talking to a lot of the potential mentees, younger USC grads, a lot of them are trying to set up their own business. So that's one of the cases that we see a lot that happen, especially once they're off from college for a few years in the working environment, and then they want to start their own business. So they want to seek guidance from people who have been through it, who have set up successful businesses. So this is one of the chances where they're able to connect directly with people who are experienced in the field. And some other cases are also people who are trying to navigate, career changes, different industries, trying to explore more and, what they want to do. And this also applies, to USC students who are about to graduate, or for fresh grads as well. So this CAP program can basically cater to any case that you might, where you might want to, advance your professional career, or even, setting up your business. So it's very much tailored to your case. And for this year, we are having 15 mentors, and we're covering a lot of industries, as you can see here, from technology, investment, in PE or VC, consulting, food, lifestyle, and also fintech, health, manufacturing, garment, wholesale, and retail. And usually one mentor would have experiences not only in one industry, but multiple industries. So it's really good that, you get connected to one of these mentors, and even attend, the other events that we're having, because you get connected to your mentor, and then, the other mentors in the program as well, and even, your fellow mentees. So you really get the value of the Trojan Network that we always bring up, in our events. And this is basically a summary of the mentors that we're having for this year at AUSCI CAP. And as you can see, there are some familiar faces. There are also, so many industries that are represented here. Fintech, technology, lifestyle, e-commerce. I think there's so many options for anyone who wants to join. And they're both experienced, they're all experienced professionals and or entrepreneurs. So whatever basically career aspirations that you might have, or if you're starting your own company, I think this is a chance for you to really get to know your mentors and get guidance directly from them. And about the program itself, we are starting it in May. So the kickoff will be on May 14th. So right after the holidays, and then when we come back, we're going to have an offline mixer, which we hope you get to attend as well. And it will run until July. And the program itself is biweekly sessions. And it will depend based on the mentor and mentee preference, if it's going to be online, offline, or hybrid, online and offline. And it depends on your location as well. Some mentees might come from LA, some people are traveling probably during the summer, so it'll be very flexible, and basically we'll facilitate, what's best for both the mentees and the mentors. And you get to be matched with one mentor as well. So as you can see, we have like 15 different mentors, and you'll be able to match with one of these mentors. And how do you join AUSCI CAP? So the first step to do it is to submit the application, and it's in this link. So bit.ly CAP 2022 register, and I'll post it in the chat room as well after this. And you get to select, top 3 mentor options, just to make sure, we get the mentor and mentee distributed evenly. So you get to select those. And if you're confused on, who to select or who might fit you well, feel free to ask us as well, to ask me or Vanessa or Bernard, because we know, the background of these mentors and who might be able to accommodate your needs better. And then after you submit the application, the mentors will be reviewing the application. So just a few questions, on your background, on your goals, to get to know, what are you looking for out of this program. And then the third one is for us, the committee, to match mentees and mentors accordingly. So we can get, 1 to 2 mentees per mentor in this case. And finally, once we get, all of these logistics sorted out, we're going to have the kickoff mixer on May 14th, which will be super fun, and you get to meet the other mentees and the other mentors as well. And just to note, our registration closes next week on Friday, so right on the Cuti Bersama. So hopefully you guys get to learn more about the program and the mentors that are presenting today, who are going to be talking today as well. And yeah, as always, feel free to reach out to me or to the other committee here for further information. Yeah, and just to summarize, what are you going to get out of the mentorship program itself? So the first one is that you get up close and personal with experienced mentor in your field of choice. So, in any industry, I think, most of our mentor cover them, and you'll get to, choose at least one that would fit your needs. And then you'll also learn about the industry trends from basically industry leaders themselves. So you get, firsthand account on, how they're shaping the industry trends. And then you can also have intelligent discussions about your ideas and aspirations, and really how to, these mentors will be able to guide you on how to reach your goals, professional or even personal goals that you set for yourself. And of course, you'll have the opportunity to network with the broader Trojans network in Indonesia as part of the AUSCI network. And of course, it will help you to open doors and be visible to people in the Trojan network. So I think this is one of the ways where you can maximize, becoming, a Trojan and from USA and even beyond. So I think it's a really great opportunity for you guys to, to start becoming more involved, and also to get to know more Trojans in Indonesia itself. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to, write anything in the chat box, and I'll be happy to answer throughout the event. So yeah, now I'm sending it over to Vanessa for the professional panel.
Yes, thank you, Liz, and thank you everyone for being here today. And I'd like to welcome our speakers for today, who are also our mentors, Crazy and Ethan. Thank you so much for coming and wanting to share your story. So a little bit about them. Crazia, for the past 12 years, she has an extensive experience in banking, retail, and e-commerce. After graduating from USC in 2009 with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and a minor in psychology, she started her career as a management associate in Citibank. And then she rotated through different roles in corporate banking and global markets, where she worked in sales and trading for institutional clients. After Citibank, Crazia focused on helping her family business and retail at Luna Luna Collection, exporting high-end children's fashion, and grew the brand across 4 continents and to over 150 wholesale clients worldwide. Since 2019, Krizia has entered the tech space in Indonesia and is currently the VP of Corporate Development at Tokopedia. She's built her team from scratch and oversees the business planning, budget management, and corporate development at the growing company. Krizia is also a proud mother of one and enjoys yoga and tennis in her free time. So, welcome, Krizia. And next for speaker Ethan. He's a native of South Korea and had experiences across multiple industries in his home country and also in Indonesia. So Ethan graduated from USC with a bachelor's of science in business in 2006, and then he went on to an MBA at Wharton School of Business at UPenn. And then starting his career as a music producer in South Korea, Ethan produced and directed various albums from artists such as Epic High, Drunken Tiger, and Dynamic Duo. And when he moved to Indonesia in 2013, Ethan started working in a private equity and later continued to build successful businesses in the startup scene. In 2017, he founded CoHive, and now it's the largest co-working space in Indonesia. And currently, he is the founder and managing partner of his own investment company, Supreme Insight Partners and AUSCI Capital. So welcome, Ethan, and thank you for joining us today. Before we start with the questions, I think I'd like to remind everybody, if you have any questions for Krizia or Ethan, please put it in the chat, or you can raise your hand as well when we get to the Q&A section. So yeah, let's start with the questions. I think I'm gonna move to Krizia first for to know more about her life story and also her career journey. Thank you for joining us today, Krizia.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so first question. I saw that you kind of like moved from one industry to another, from family business to like tech to consulting. So like, what is like your story and the decision making behind that process of moving, and why did you eventually now settle down in tech?
Sure. So I started my career as a management associate in Citibank. I think it was a very popular program back in the day. It's kind of like a, get to know banking 101 kind of thing, and you get rotated through different departments. And I eventually kind of settled down in sales and trading, which was really, really fun because you work at the dealing room of a bank. And it's just very, very dynamic and fast paced. But maybe about after 5 years later, then I got pregnant, and I kind of wanted to step out a little bit, and I thought it was like the perfect chance for me to explore family business, just so my parents would say, okay, at least he tried, or I would also say to myself that, okay, at least I tried. And my family is in the retail business. So my mom is a manufacturer of girls' clothing. And with her, we kind of revamped this brand called Luna Luna Collection. It's essentially like a girls' high-end fashion brand. And so that was my family business, and I explored that. And it was a very different business model that we did there, because it's actually a brand that is quite well known in the States. And it's a brand that first established in the States. And the story behind it is that the creative director is actually from LA. So my family partnered with her, and we created this brand together. It was really fun because I got to do a lot of different things. I went to New York for trade shows. I set up our businesses and how we did like wholesale business to a lot of different stores across all the 4 continents. But after a while in it, and after my son got kind of bigger, I kind of thought that is this really what I can imagine myself doing forever? And I had to be honest to myself, and the answer was probably no. I was not as passionate about girls' dresses or fashion at that time. And what really piqued my interest was the tech space. And I had been a very avid Tokopedia user, and I really wanted to know like what happens behind all of this, crazy tech startups, all these unicorns. And so lo and behold, I applied, and I actually got the job at Tokopedia, and now I'm kind of leading the corporate development team there, which has been a really fun journey, Vanessa. So that's the story.
Yeah, that's so cool. Just a bit background. I used to work with Kerzia and Tokopedia as well, and like her team is like so cool, oversees everything, and she's like a really great leader as well. And I think a lot of people can relate with your story because you didn't go in a linear direction with your career. You kind of like moved around to family business and then to tech. And so I think a lot of people can relate to that as well. So maybe could you share a little bit about like what it's like working in the traditional, conventional industry like banking versus like now in the tech industry? Like what are the pros and cons?
Sure. So how I saw my time in banking, it really kind of like it's very structured, it's very predictable, and everything that they have built kind of works for them. And I think that's great, for people who really like structure and they like predictability. You kind of know what to expect, you know how to climb up the corporate ladder. But I think one of the cons is like it's hard to change things there because they are so structured, and then it's like all about the status quo, right? But in tech, everything is so agile. Everything is kind of when I first came into Tokopedia 3 years ago, it's so different to the Tokopedia that I see today. So it's constantly like evolving. It's very fast paced in tech, and also you kind of try to create your own version of the future. You're shaping things with your team, with other business units as well. And so you're kind of paving your path to what you want the future to look like, right? Which I think is like very exciting. And I guess one of the cons in tech is perhaps it can be very intense. It's very unpredictable. It's like a roller coaster ride.
Right. And I guess it depends on like what your skills are and what your personality is to which you want to choose, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Could you share a little bit of skills that are needed to be successful in like those different environments, like conventional banking versus maybe tech that is more fast paced?
I think in banking, the skill set you need sometimes can be very much more specialized. So say, you want to aspire to be the CFO of a bank, then, you have to put in the time and the years in the finance department, right? And say you want to be like a really good, the head of corporate banking or something in a bank, then you really need to understand your clients and you need to log in all those hours, right? So I would think that in banking it's very specialized and you kind of have to commit. But in tech it's a bit different because I think like for example, my background was not 100% finance. I was actually business administration and marketing, minor in psychology. But right now in Tokopedia, I kind of handle the numbers. So, someone who doesn't have too much of finance experience can handle something like that in tech is something that I find very interesting and intriguing as well. And I think the skill sets in tech that you need, I think it also it's very similar. It can be very similar in banking, but perhaps it's less specialized. And the things that we really look for in tech is actually, your sense of curiosity. And I always say this to all my team, but I would choose like attitude over aptitude any day. And things like I need to see whether this person has grit or not, like the willingness to learn, the willingness to like show initiative. So, it's different, but sometimes there are, silver linings between the two.
Nice. Okay. And I think that the attitude is something that you're looking for in your mentee as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that you kind of like face some challenges when you built your team from scratch in Tokopedia.
Yeah.
What was that like? And also like now that Tokopedia 3 years later is a much more established company, it's a public company now. Would you say that it is harder to innovate, and is there challenges in innovating right now?
So to answer your first question, the challenges in starting a team from scratch was, I think, finding people and finding the right people with the right kind of skill set and also mentality is kind of hard. And I typically like to hire based on, like I mentioned, also attitude over aptitude. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if the team can't work with you, and if then we probably will not go for that person. So I think one of the challenges for building a team from scratch is hiring the right people. And with regards to your second question, which is more on, is it hard to innovate given the size of the team? I don't think so at all, Vanessa. I think innovating, especially in a tech company, it can come through so many different forms and ways. And even if it's a small innovation that you're making, or even if it's a small process that you're improving, it's still making yourself better and making the company better than it was the day before. So I don't see that, innovating with bigger people, a bigger number of people, or yeah, now that we're public, is actually going to hinder us.
Right. So actually the process is still the same and the spirit is still the same. It's just that you went from like a private company to a public company. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one last question, I think, for me. You said you were a working mom.
Mhm.
I think you have a really cute little boy. So how do you manage like work-life balance between taking care of your family, spending time with your son, and being a success in the workplace?
Yeah. I really like that question because I thought about it a lot. And I find that work and motherhood is like a mutually symbiotic relationship. So one kind of makes me better at the other as well. And what do I mean by this, right? I think when my son was really young, I really wanted to be like, I need to always be one step ahead, right? Like, okay, how am I gonna introduce him to like solid foods, or what am I gonna do about his schooling? So I'm constantly like thinking of what to do next with him. And that is the same with work, right? I'm always thinking, what can I do to make sure that Tokopedia can be one step ahead, or how can I make sure that our budgeting system can be one step ahead, and things like leading by example. I really don't like it when my son spends too much time on the screen, so I give him a screen time. But at the same time, I have to put a screen time on myself too, right? So I have to lead by example, and these are the kind of things that I also try to implement towards my own team and in Tokopedia. So I really try to lead by example. I try to get in, get my hands dirty, and try to help the team whenever they need help. Yeah.
Wow, that's a really great way of like kind of like synergizing between your two roles, I guess. Yeah. Thank you so much, Krizia, for sharing your story. And everybody, Krizia will be one of our mentors. So if you're interested in being her mentee, please sign up at the end of this meeting. There will be a link for you to sign up in. So thank you so much, Krizia.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and next we're gonna go to Ethan. So Ethan, can you walk us through a little bit for your decision to move from like investment and consulting to then startups to now like actually investing in companies? That's also like a pretty big jump, similar to Krizia's career journey.
Oh, sorry. Let me turn off my camera because sometimes it makes my Wi-Fi slow. So let me turn off. Sorry.
No worries.
So can you hear me now? So my Wi-Fi is not stable here.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. So, okay, my first job was actually was to run my own music production house during my college years in early 2000. I entered USC in 1998, and then I came back to Korea in January 2000, right after I finished the first semester of my sophomore year. I remember it was a time when the first generation of Korean hip hop music just came out. So, I was very passionate about music, and my hobby was to just make music using my computer and sampler in my dormitory. So I already produced a bunch of songs during my college years. So I didn't know what to do with that music. So that's why I started my own music production house, and I tried audition. I tried the audition in one of live hip hop, clubs in Seoul. So every weekend, to be honest, I was performing as a MC rapper with my group. But unfortunately, I was not able to make enough money this music entertainment business at the time because it was just beginning of Korean hip hop, and no one wants to pay us this amount of budget for our performance. But I really enjoy building a team from scratch and commercializing my ideas, etc. But at the same time, I realized I was lacking of business skill set, such as strategy, marketing, business analysis, accounting, and finance. Because I was trying to raise capital in 2002 to build my own startup music entertainment company, but I miserably failed because I didn't know how to raise money. That is why I decided to go back to USC in 2004 and major in business. And after I graduated from USC in 2006, I worked at investment banking for more than 2 years, and then management consulting firm at AT Kearney for about 3 years. So about 6 years, I really work hard intensively on various M&A transactions and corporate finance strategy projects. My work hours was hectic. I work around 80 to 100 hours per week. It was very intense and crazy, but at the same time, it was very great experience because I could learn corporate strategy and corporate finance in most efficient and most intensive way for 6 years. And but while I was working in banking and consulting, I already knew that I would not stay there for long. So I think my decision was made organically because I knew that I always wanted to run my own business. It's just a matter of what kind of business I will run. So even though after I finished my MBA degree, I started working in investment private equity fund in Indonesia. That after 3 years, I co-founded CoHive. That was my second venture after my music venture business. Now I'm running my own event company, also company builder, to invest in early stage company and also help entrepreneur build their business from scratch.
Wow, that's really cool. Like, so you really went back to school even after you tried a career. So it's never too late, I guess, to start something, huh?
Yeah, so when I first got a job after graduation, I was 29 years old. I was quite old.
That's really cool. And you're very brave to do that. And also, like, you worked in two different countries that is completely different, I guess, South Korea and Indonesia.
Mhm.
How was your experience like with that? And also, like, why did you eventually kind of decided to settle down in Indonesia and build your company here?
Okay, I think when I was studying at Wharton MBA, I've always wanted to work in emerging countries because, to be honest, I was quite sick and tired working in Korea at the time. Like I said before, I worked around 100 hours per week. My wife was unhappy about my life, and one of the, that's why the only escape to Korea from Korea was to pursue my MBA. And I promised myself I will never. I don't want to come back to Korea. This is a maybe last chance that I can work overseas besides Korea. But it's just a matter of where I should work. And I've always wanted to work in emerging countries because I had some sort of I had some project when I was working in investment banking. We had to fly to Indonesia and Cambodia for about a week. There were due diligence on some investment project, and luckily I had quite a good impression on Indonesia at the time. So that was 2008, and one of my boss who came to Indonesia with me. He actually told me that, hey, Ethan, if you have a chance to work overseas, don't try to work in America or other European country where you'll be living as a minority. try to try to find a place where you can leverage your experience. And I think you're Asian, so you should come back to Asia. But this is the right place to start. I mean, your another career if you have a chance to work in overseas. So I asked my boss, why is that? And he said, the best way to assess the potential, opportunities of the country is to count how many new constructions are going on. So at that time, I was staying in Ritz-Carlton Kuningan. I looked around the area in 2008. At that time, so many construction just started, just kick off. And he said like it's like a Dubai. And it reminded me of the Seoul in 1980s, because 1980s in Seoul area, there's so many constructions, high buildings were being constructed. So I had a good impression on Indonesia at the time. So while I was studying in MBA, I've been looking for opportunities working in an emerging country, and luckily that my school has some job posting from emerging countries, including Nairobi, Mongolia, and Malaysia. So I randomly submit my resume to all these emerging countries. So I was having interview with Social Impact Fund in Nairobi, Africa, and Mongolia, and some other emerging country. And Indonesia was one of my job that I applied. And Indonesia was the first country that gave me an offer. So that's how I landed my job. Then, that's how I came to Indonesia in 2013. And if I compare South Korea versus Indonesia, I think in terms of macro perspective, Indonesia is more dynamic, especially the past, 5-6 years has been very dynamic, as you can see. The investment sentiment from global investors is much more favorable. And I also believe that Indonesia is more westernized than Korea. Because if you work in startup or VC or private equity here, foreigners do not necessarily need to speak Bahasa. Most of staff can speak fluent English, and sometimes their internal language is also English. But on the other hand, Korea is more advanced in terms of technology and regulations, also infrastructure, and the manpower is very strong in general. But domestic competition is very fierce, and it's also small, so it is saturated quickly, and also you can see you don't see many foreigners working in startup or investment sector in Korea. So you should be able to speak Korean. And also to choose service or product is very high. So as a service provider, you really have to even very small, tiny. Sorry, I got disconnected. Hello,
okay.
can you?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Yeah. So even that's why AI, deep tech become very important factor in Korea right now. So yeah, so you have to distinguish yourself in Korea.
I see. I think you're very brave to like look out for opportunities and take the leap. Kind of just like go for it. um, I also think from what you said just now, what I got from it is that even as a foreigner, you could see that Indonesia has a lot of potential and opportunities for growth, and that is why you kind of like come to Indonesia to pursue your career here as well. So
Yes.
yeah, so how did you make that leap to like start a business like in Indonesia, and like how did you build your network and then get the support you needed? Because obviously when you came here in the beginning, you didn't have a lot of like people or like the resources that you need. So how did you start that in the beginning?
Okay, so before I co-founded Co-Hive, like I mentioned, I was working at Indonesia private equity fund called Principia Management for 3 years. So while I was working there, I happened to see startup community is growing faster than traditional business. So and I could see they were struggling when they were looking for small offices in Jakarta because as a uh, you have to pay 2 to 3 year upfront rental, and there's a minimum space you have to rent from landlord. So sometimes these startup owners, they are paying more than what they are supposed to pay. So I believe that there were business opportunities for co-working space because co-working player can help these small companies search for their affordable office space. And because I was working at private equity fund, I happened to get to know many investors, also the founders. So I really built a network for 3 years. And I met my co-founder through Wharton and UPenn Alumni Network. And then this is how we started together. To me, like I said before, I came to Indonesia right after I graduated from MBA. So it was very smooth process that I got support from my MBA alumni. But at the time, I didn't have a chance to network it with USC alumni. So that's why I want to participate from now.
I see. So actually, you do have some networks that you got from your previous experiences in school and also in your previous job. So that can
Yes.
help build your business. Okay. And I think my last question for you for now is, what are some of the challenges that you face when you're scaling Co-Hive to what it is today now?
Okay. So when we first started Co-Hive, there was big hype in this co-working sector globally. As you know, like WeWork and other global players. And at the time, WeWork was just entering Indonesian market, and there were also a number of local competitors. So for us to win this competition, we had to scale up really fast, meaning that we had to raise capital quickly. Every day we had to operate, at the same time, we had to raise capital, and also we had to compete with other competitors. And I was running interior design, construction team, and marketing team. Also, I was doing fundraising. Every day was crazy. We had to deal with multitasking every day. So I often go home around 2 to 3 a.m. almost every day, and I come to work on weekend, uh, as a founder. And we also moments when COVID hit in 2000. I'm sure you can imagine how.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, yeah. I think you mentioned that during COVID it was pretty difficult because you were when you were operating a business.
Yes. So a lot of our tenants were hit by COVID, and some of them had to shut down their business in the middle of contract. So
Oh
we had to
no,
deal with a lot of challenges.
that's crazy. I think you had a long journey of like ups and downs with your business, your career, and I think that is something I think our mentees would love to learn from you, so that they don't have to experience the same thing, or maybe if they do experience the same thing, they can know how to navigate. So yeah, guys, Ethan will be one of our mentors for this year's mentorship program, and so if you're interested, please sign up. And now I think we're opening it up for A from our audience. Um,
Yeah. So I
let's
think there's
see.
a question here
Yeah.
in the chat room. So the first question is for both of the mentors, since we're on the theme for mentorship. So for Krizia and Ethan, can you please describe a mentor figure that you have had in the past that have a deep impact on you, and probably share a little bit about the experience that you had with that mentor, if you've had any.
Well, I had a mentor during my summer interns. You know, in my junior, after I finished my junior at USC. So that was my first investment banking internship in New York, and actually the managing partner was the quite well-known figure in the media investment banking industry. And at that time I didn't know about investment banking at all. I mean, I only knew small things about investment banking, but I didn't know what kind of skill set I should gain from investment banking. Also, what kind of impact investment banking business deliver to the industry. But as a senior media investment banker, he taught me that if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to run your business, most difficult problem that you will face from the first phase would be raising fund, raising capital. So he told me that this is a place where you can learn the skill set most intensive way. So he recommended me a lot of text, a lot of books that I should read to understand the corporate finance and M&A and capital raising. So so he then after I finished my summer internship in New York, he actually recommended me to someone in New York, someone in LA, so that I can continue my internship during my senior year. So throughout my senior year, I had another internship in investment banking, boutique investment bank, for about a year, which strengthened my skill set. So yeah, so yeah, that was the most the mentors that most impact on me.
Maybe for me, as I was thinking about mentors, I think throughout your journey or your career, you kind of have different mentors throughout different stages. And one that really stood out for me was when I was in banking. Uh, I was also kind of like a pseudo intern, if you will, for CEO at that time. His name is Tigor Siahaan. He used to run Citibank, but now last was he was running CIMB. But I really looked up to him because he was very approachable. He would remember a lot of things. Like one of the things that I remember was, we were taking the elevator down and he would ask, hey, Krizia, what are you eating for lunch? And, I said something like KFC. And then coincidentally, when I came back, we were on the same elevator up and he would ask like, oh, how was your fried chicken? I was like, oh, you remember, So he always remembered. And I think that's a very good character of a leader. I think it's about how you make them feel more than how what the content is being said. And he was always very approachable, I feel, to all the management associates and to people who were even very, very junior. He would ask, and he would always be approachable to any of us, and I think I really respect him for that. There is also another instance. We had a presentation back then to something like this, but it was for his alumni, University of Virginia or something like that. I forgot. And I helped him create the deck, and he had to present. And afterwards, there was a different kind of event, and I asked him, like, oh, who, who's gonna present it? And he's like, well, you made it. Why don't you present it, right? And so I was like, okay. So I think I like I really look up to him. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess like from both of your stories, you really look up to at least one mentor along your journey, and they help you to give the resources that you need, like readings, or connect you to people that could give you opportunities, and also kind of show you what values and characters matter most to be a successful person. So I think all of our mentees here are gonna also benefit from you guys on these aspects. Um, should we?
So I think there's another question from Phil. I think he cannot chat right now, but Phil has a question to both Krizia and also Ethan. Like looking right now, e-commerce is booming, like with go to IPO and also, investments. So you guys must be super busy at work, like barely have any free time. So he wanted to know why you guys actually decided to become a mentor and kind of like what drove you into like giving back, because this is, a commitment on your time as well.
Maybe I can start. I think I decided that, Vanessa approached me for this mentorship program, and I think I just kind of wanted to give back. It's like my way of kind of giving back, hoping that whatever I've experienced will be helpful. And being in different kind of situations, work as well as industries, I hope that other people will kind of benefit. And I'm also here just to lend an ear, to listen to whatever quandaries or issues or problems that any of the mentees might have. So yeah.
And I like to work with the young people, and I want to be a mentor, not just because I want to give advice to young people, this mentor program, actually I can learn reflection on my past experience, and I can recall, and maybe in order to a good mentorship, I also need to study. So I think it's also give me a benefit, not just I give benefit to. I think it's time for me to kind of share insight mentees. At the same time, I learn something from them.
Yep. So I guess it goes both ways, that you'll learn from the mentees and the mentee will learn from you as well. So is there any other questions from the participants? If not, we can continue with the questions that we have, like last questions. Okay. Okay, I think we'll go on to our next questions that we prepared, which is on USC and on the USC alumni. What do you guys think has the community help you with in your career? So has USC played a role in some way?
So for me, I think USC is almost like synonymous with network, right? And the network that USC brings is always so vast. And I think even, remembering back to my first internship that I got when I was in USC, it was because of the USC alumni network. I got an internship in Morgan Stanley in LA, and that was because of the USC alumni program that we had on campus as well. So I'll always think of USC that way.
That's great. Maybe for Ethan. Okay, maybe Ethan is experiencing some connection issues. So I guess we can go on to our last question, which is just to wrap up this whole thing. Do you have any advice, Krizia or Ethan, to our mentees and on how to navigate their career and exploring different roles in industries, and maybe how to be an entrepreneur and run their business as well? Any last advice?
I think everyone, I would highly encourage, for you to follow whatever piques your interest, and to kind of, in a way, it's kind of like saying follow your heart, but follow where your curiosity takes you. Be brave to take the leap, and there's always like no right way of doing it. You'll figure things out along the way, and yeah, just follow your curiosity, I guess.
What was the question again? Sorry, I got disconnected.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay, Ethan. Any last advice for our mentees or people who are watching about like life, career, and how to be an entrepreneur and things like that?
Okay. I think if you are really passionate about being an entrepreneur, I think do plan well, and it is very important to have a good founding team, mentors, advisor, and investors. Also important to validate your ideas. But once you are ready to go, don't look back and just focus on execution. Stay positive and stay optimistic. Continuously, seek out advice from your surroundings. Yeah, that will be my advice.
Okay. Thank you, Krizia and Ethan, for the great session today and also for your advice. I think I'll hand it over to Liz.
Yeah, So thank you everyone for attending the event. Hope you guys had an insightful time here, learning from Krizia and also Ethan and their professional journey and also entrepreneurial journey. And of course, as always, you can always apply to be their mentees in our Career Advantage Mentor Program. And you can find the registration link here. So bit.ly CAP 2022 register, or there's also a QR code here where you can register. And the full list of mentors and also their detailed profile will be sent out tomorrow. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ping me on WhatsApp. Yeah, I think most of you already have my WhatsApp anyway, so feel free to let me know and I'll send you the detailed mentor booklet on the information by tomorrow. So yeah, I think that's all we have planned for today. So thank you everyone. And of course, one last thing before we exit the Zoom room, as always, it's a US Indo event, so photo is mandatory. So if you guys can open your video, your camera, and we'll have a screenshot or two and we'll share it with you guys after this, because it's kind of rare to have all USC graduates in one room during COVID. So let's do that. Okay, is everyone on? Don't be shy, guys. Cool. I think Martin, you're taking this right. Hope someone is.
Yes, we're waiting for all
Okay.
to open the camera. Okay, on three, yeah.
Cool.
1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, thank you so much, you guys, for attending, and thank you, Krizia and Ethan, for being great speakers in this event as well. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
We'll fight
Thank
on.
you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.